For many people, the wilderness represents paradise and a way to break free from this rigorous world, which is why millions of people take trips to parks and forests every year. However, the wilderness can also be a mysterious death place. This video will narrate stories of campers who vanished without a trace. Connie Smith. In 1952, 10-year-old Connie Smith lived in Wyoming and went camping with a female friend at YMCA's Camp Sloan in Salisbury, Connecticut. The day started ominously with a bloody nose, the aftermath of a confrontation with fellow campers. Despite this, Connie maintained her composure and vanished without a trace after informing her tent mates of a trip to get an ice pack. Strangely, she left behind essential belongings, suggesting a spontaneous decision. Clad in blue shorts, a long-sleeve shirt, and a bright red windbreaker, Connie embarked on her journey, carrying only a black zippered purse containing cherished photos. Along Indian Mountain Road, witnesses spotted her engaged in seemingly innocent activities, like picking daisies and inquiring about directions to Lakeville, Connecticut. Her supposed homesickness contradicted earlier sentiments expressed during her mother's recent visit, where Connie had appeared content and even desired an extended stay at Camp Sloan. The revelation of Connie's disappearance prompted camp counselors to initiate a search 3 hours after her departure. Witnesses later reported sightings of Connie attempting to hitchhike near the intersection of U.S. Route 44 and Belgo Road. The mystery deepened as investigators delved into Connie's background and behavioral patterns. Despite her youthful age, Connie displayed a remarkable sense of independence and self-reliance, characteristics that puzzled those who knew her. Community members rallied together, combing through surrounding areas and distributing flyers in hopes of locating Connie. As days turned into weeks, the search intensified, with law enforcement agencies coordinating efforts to uncover any leads or clues that could shed light on her whereabouts. Connie's disappearance triggered Connecticut's most extensive missing persons search in history, leaving a community in turmoil and sparking a nationwide search effort. Truck drivers, carnival workers, and gypsies along Route 22 were scrutinized, reflecting the breadth of the investigation's scope. State troopers, volunteers, and aircraft from Westover Field and the Civil Air Patrol combed the area tirelessly, yet Connie's whereabouts remained elusive. Despite her father, Peter Smith, and other family members actively participating in the search, the mystery persisted, casting a shadow over the community. Numerous theories emerged, with reported sightings stretching from Canada to New York. However, each lead ultimately led to a dead end, leaving investigators frustrated and Connie's fate unresolved. Even with DNA evidence entered into police databases, hope dwindled as the years passed without significant progress. One suspect, William Henry Redmond, a former carnival worker with a prior murder charge, drew attention due to his criminal history. However, despite suspicions, authorities couldn't establish his presence in Connecticut at the time of Connie's disappearance, and he passed a polygraph test, further complicating the investigation. Another tantalizing lead emerged when traveling salesman Frederick Pope confessed to Ohio police, claiming knowledge of Connie's fate. Pope implicated his associate, Jack Walker, in Connie's abduction and subsequent murder in Arizona. However, Pope's story unraveled upon investigation, revealing inconsistencies and fabricated details. The lack of corroborating evidence led to Pope's dismissal as a credible witness, leaving investigators at square one. Designated as Case B57H in state records, Connie Smith's disappearance remains one of Connecticut's most notorious cold cases. Despite the tireless efforts of investigators, including lead investigator Richard Chapman, who continued the search even after retirement, Connie's fate remains unknown. Peter Smith, Connie's father, even passed away without closure, and his obituary acknowledged the ongoing mystery surrounding his daughter's disappearance. Until answers are found, Connie's story remains frozen. Bobby Panknin. Almost half a century ago, the tranquil beauty of a hiking trip in Spokane turned into a nightmare for the Panknin family. The family, consisting of Bobby, his brothers Jim and Bill, and their mother Edna, embarked on a hike near Deep Lake Resort in northern Stevens County, seeking solace in nature's embrace. As the family traversed a rugged logging road, the allure of a nearby creek beckoned Bill, the eldest among the three brothers, to investigate. Concerned for his safety, Edna accompanied Bill, instructing Jim to remain on the road with young Bobby. It was a decision rooted in maternal caution, an attempt to safeguard her children from potential dangers. However, fate had other plans. Jim followed suit as Bill and Edna ventured towards the Laughing Brook, perhaps fueled by curiosity or a desire for adventure, leaving Bobby alone on the road. Bill and Edna returned from their brief excursion, expecting to reunite with Jim and Bobby, but they were met with an unsettling silence. Bobby was nowhere to be found. Panic ensued as they searched for Bobby, their calls echoing through the dense foliage, unanswered. Despite their proximity to the road, Bobby had vanished without a trace, leaving his family bewildered and distraught. The passage of mere minutes felt like an eternity as they scoured the area, each passing second intensifying their anguish. The brothers' initial assumption that Bobby had disappeared shortly after their departure proved tragically inaccurate. As hours turned into days and days into weeks, the search for Bobby stretched far beyond the confines of the forest, captivating the hearts and minds of the local community. Without tangible leads, speculation ran rampant, with theories ranging from accidental wandering to foul play. The haunting uncertainty surrounding Bobby's fate cast a long shadow over the Panknin family, leaving them trapped in a perpetual state of grief and uncertainty. Despite exhaustive search efforts by law enforcement and volunteers alike, Bobby remained elusive, his disappearance shrouded in mystery. The passage of time only deepened the wound, as hope dwindled and the likelihood of a resolution grew increasingly remote. Bobby's father, Howard Panknin, was fishing with his eldest child, Ted, when news of Bobby's disappearance reached him. Despite his tireless efforts, Bobby was nowhere to be seen, his fate shrouded in uncertainty. Amidst the chaos and grief, Bobby's mother, Edna Panknin, found herself unjustly shouldering the blame for her son's disappearance. Despite her unwavering love and devotion to her children, she became a target for criticism and scrutiny, her every action dissected and scrutinized by those seeking answers in the void left by Bobby's absence. For Jim, the guilt of Bobby's disappearance lingered like a shadow, a constant reminder of what could have been. He constantly grapples with the notion that he should have stayed with his younger brother, protecting him from whatever unseen danger lurks in the wilderness. The brothers rarely spoke of the incident, yet their understanding spoke volumes. They knew that Bobby's disappearance was not the result of negligence or fault, but rather a tragic twist of fate that forever altered the course of their lives. Howard and Edna, despite their grief, remained pillars of strength for their family. Their unwavering love and resilience in the face of unimaginable loss were a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. Though their hearts ached with longing for their missing son, they found solace in the knowledge that Bobby's memory would live on in their hearts forever. The eldest son, Ted, never stopped wondering about his brother's fate. As the years passed and Bobby's disappearance remained unsolved, he couldn't help but entertain the possibility that his brother may still be alive, living under a different name with another family. The thought haunted him, yet he clung to it like a lifeline, refusing to let go of the hope that they would be reunited one day. Despite the tragedy, the Panknin family remained steadfast in their love for the great outdoors. While they never returned to Deep Lake, where the incident occurred, the memories of their camping trips remained etched in their hearts, a bittersweet reminder of happier times. It's been over 50 years since Dennis Lloyd Martin went camping in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park with his family, just 6 days shy of his 7th birthday. That wasn't the pivotal incident, but what happened at the camp became one of the most mysterious incidents in history. Known affectionately as Denny by his parents, he possessed a resilient spirit despite his tender age, displaying a remarkable strength and fearlessness that belied his small stature. On that fateful Saturday morning of June 14th, Dennis embarked on a hike with his family from Russell Field to Spence, where relatives eagerly awaited their arrival. After eating lunch and the dishes were done, the adults settled down at the knoll to talk and enjoy the view, while Dennis, Doug, and two more boys ran and played in the field. Just before 4:30 p.m., the boys put their heads together and whispered as the adults watched. Then they scattered, Doug and the others to the south, Dennis to the north and west toward the Tennessee side. The grown-ups chuckled and waited because they knew what those kids were up to. Dennis's father, Bill, and the others jumped in pretend surprise when the boys burst out of the brush behind them with shrieks and laughter. After a few minutes, maybe 2 or 3 by the father's count, no more than 5, came the question, "Where's Dennis?" Minutes turned into hours, and Dennis's absence became glaringly apparent as the sun descended below the horizon. Panic rippled through the group as they frantically searched for him, desperately calling out his name, their voices lost amidst the rustling leaves and distant thunder. Dennis's grandfather, Clyde Martin, made the arduous journey to Cades Cove Ranger Station to report his grandson's disappearance. At the same time, Dennis's father, Bill Martin, sought assistance from a park naturalist he had encountered. Yet despite their best efforts and the help of park officials, Dennis remained nowhere to be found. The weather didn't even care about what these families were going through. Clouds gathered overhead, and a breeze swept across the field, and thunder rumbled in the distance. Then almost immediately, a storm broke with a sudden fury, dumping nearly 3 inches of rain over the next few hours, sending the family scurrying to the shelter and turning the trails into rivers of mud. High winds drowned out the calls for Dennis and any chance of hearing an answer. Dennis left with only his clothes and shoes, no hat, raincoat, or other protection. That night, temperatures plummeted to the low 50s, chilling campers deeply. Occasionally, his family stepped out of the shelter, calling his name in vain. Park Ranger Dwight McCarter, seasoned by years of experience in the unforgiving terrain of the Smokies, understood the grim reality facing Dennis. With each passing hour, the threat of hypothermia loomed larger. The following day, a massive search and rescue effort was launched, drawing together hundreds of volunteers and park officials in a desperate bid to find Dennis before it was too late. Despite their tireless efforts and the sheer magnitude of the workforce deployed, the rugged terrain and treacherous conditions proved formidable obstacles. While well-intentioned, numerous volunteers inadvertently complicated the search, trampling potential evidence and muddying the waters of an already complex investigation. By the 8th day, hope began to wane as searchers combed 56 square miles of terrain, their efforts yielding no results. On June 25th, the Martin family returned home, their hearts heavy with grief and uncertainty. Park officials suspended all significant search operations 4 days later, acknowledging that Dennis may never be found. A dedicated few continued searching for Dennis in the following weeks, yet the search ultimately proved fruitless, leaving Dennis's fate unresolved and his family bereft of closure. Bobby Bishop. In the summer of 1956, Camp St. Malo welcomed Bobby Bishop, a spirited and resilient young boy who faced the world with a smile despite his hearing impairment. Born deaf, Bobby navigated the world with the help of a hearing aid that offered limited assistance, relying instead on sign language and lip reading to communicate. Despite his challenges, Bobby's indomitable spirit and zest for life endeared him to all who knew him. Accompanied by his devoted parents, Bobby embarked on a week-long adventure at Camp St. Malo, nestled amidst the picturesque beauty of the Colorado wilderness. Captured in photographs, Bobby's infectious grin and love for baseball captured the essence of his joyful personality, a testament to his unwavering optimism in the face of adversity. On August 15, 1958, the temperature fell from the afternoon high of 78 degrees to the mid-60s, which was perfect fishing weather at the camp. Bobby ventured out along the stream, armed with an old ice cream carton filled with worms and his trusty fishing rod. It was a familiar routine for Bobby, who relished the opportunity to immerse himself in the natural wonders of the campgrounds. As evening descended and the temperature dropped to a comfortable mid-60s, Bobby received a gentle reminder from Counselor Terry Cowan that it was time to gather his belongings and return to the main lodge for supper. With a nod of understanding, Bobby acknowledged the counselor's message, unaware of the harrowing ordeal ahead. Within an hour, Bobby vanished without a trace, his disappearance casting a pall of fear and uncertainty over the idyllic surroundings of Camp St. Malo. Frantic search efforts were launched, drawing upon the resources of military personnel, local police, and the National Park Service. However, Bobby remained elusive, his whereabouts a baffling mystery that defied explanation. Despite the exhaustive search efforts and meticulous investigations that followed, no trace of Bobby was ever found, leaving behind a void that could never be filled. Bobby Bisop's disappearance became a dark shadow that loomed over the cherished memories of Camp St. Malo. Nearly 1 year after Bobby Bisop's disappearance at Camp St. Malo, a grim discovery sent shockwaves through the community and reignited speculation surrounding the enigmatic case. Skeletal remains, believed to belong to Bobby, were found on a mountainside 3 miles from the camp, casting doubt on the initial theory that he simply got lost and succumbed to exposure in the wilderness. The revelation of Bobby's remains opened a new chapter in the investigation, prompting authorities to re-examine the circumstances surrounding his disappearance with renewed scrutiny. Questions that once lingered unanswered now demand attention, and the search for the truth created a new sense of urgency. Amidst the unfolding investigation, a startling revelation emerges, sending shockwaves through the community. It was discovered that some of the accused individuals in the broader investigation into child sexual abuse allegations against Catholic priests had worked as counselors at Camp St. Malo during the period when Bobby went missing. As the investigation unfolded, theories and speculations abounded, fueling public intrigue and suspicion. Was Bobby's disappearance somehow connected to the presence of these individuals at the camp? Was he a victim of foul play, his innocence exploited by those entrusted with his care? Or was his disappearance simply a tragic accident, unrelated to the sinister undercurrents that now threatened to overshadow his memory? Russell Hill and Carol Clay. In the Australian state of Victoria, Russell Hill, 74, and Carol Clay, 73, embarked on a camping trip to find peace and serenity amidst the majestic beauty of the Victorian Alps. For them, the Onondaga Valley offered the perfect retreat, a secluded haven where they could indulge in their secret love affair, away from prying eyes and judgmental gazes. That fateful day, Russell Hill leaves his home in Druin and collects Carol Clay from her Pakenham home for a camping trip. While on the way, Mr. Hill tells his friend via amateur radio he has set up a campsite in the Onondaga Valley, about 300 kilometers northeast of Melbourne. Little did they know that tragedy awaited them in the heart of the wilderness as they set out on their journey. Russell Hill, a seasoned outdoorsman with expert area knowledge, navigated the rugged terrain confidently and efficiently. Carol Clay, his companion and confidant, followed close behind, her trust in Russell unwavering as they ventured deeper into the unknown. The events of that fateful day unfolded with chilling swiftness, shattering the tranquility of the Onondaga Valley and plunging Russell and Carol into a nightmare from which they would never emerge. Their campsite was later discovered burned, with no sign of the campers around 2 p.m. A passing visitor stumbled upon their campsite, which had turned into a charred and desolate wasteland, devoid of any signs of life. The remnants of a suspicious fire lay scattered amidst the ashes, and the police were alerted. Russell's friend Rob Ashland was contacted about the incident. He knew Russell's expertise in navigating the wilderness made it unlikely that he would wander into a dense bushland without a compelling reason. The absence of distress calls over amateur radio deepened the mystery, leaving Rob and others grasping for answers in a sea of uncertainty. The following investigation took numerous twists and turns, with police delving into every possible lead in search of clues that might shed light on Russell and Carol's disappearance. Cadaver dogs scoured the landscape, their keen senses attuned to the faintest scent of human remains. Extensive searches were conducted, spanning vast stretches of rugged terrain, in the hopes of finding any trace of the missing couple. Forensic testing of the items discovered at the burned campsite yielded few answers, leaving investigators frustrated and no closer to unraveling the mystery. Speculation ran rampant, with theories ranging from foul play to accidental misadventure, each offering a tantalizing glimpse into the shadowy depths of the human psyche. Despite the best efforts of law enforcement and search teams, the truth behind Russell and Carol's disappearance remains elusive. As former police officer and fire forensic expert Greg Kelly delved into the case, his concerns grew regarding the vital clues that lie within the charred remnants of the campsite. Despite the absence of any trace of the missing lovers, authorities hesitated to classify the case as a mere instance of disappeared persons. With his extensive experience in criminal investigations, Kelly found it highly unusual that Russell Hill, a seasoned outdoorsman, would abandon a campfire to burn unchecked, raising suspicions of foul play. The notion of using fire to destroy physical evidence of a crime resonated with Kelly, leading him to believe that the incident at the campsite may have been a deliberate act intended to conceal a darker truth. There was also a missing drone that belonged to Russell Hill. This added another layer of intrigue to the investigation, suggesting the possibility that he may have inadvertently captured incriminating footage before his disappearance. Valentine Smith, a retired senior sergeant with the Victorian Police, speculated that the drone may have recorded evidence of illegal activity, triggering a confrontation that ultimately led to the disappearance of Russell and Carol. The search for the missing couple continued for several months, but despite the tireless efforts of law enforcement, they remained elusive, their fate shrouded in mystery. In November 2021, a breakthrough in the case emerged when police revealed the possibility of a violent altercation at the campsite involving Russell Hill, Carol Clay, and another person of interest. Surveillance footage captured a dark blue 1990s model Nissan Patrol with a trailer in the vicinity on the day of the disappearance, prompting authorities to seek information from the driver. Subsequently, Greg Lynn, a former airline pilot, was arrested and charged with the murder of Russell Hill and Carol Clay. Victoria Police Forensics Officer Mark Gallotley was tasked with examining evidence related to the case, uncovering a disturbing sequence of events that shed light on the grim fate of the missing couple. According to information provided by the Missing Persons Squad detectives, a confrontation ensued between Russell Hill, Carol Clay, and Greg Lynn, allegedly sparked by a dispute over the drone flown by Hill and Clay. The altercation escalated when Hill seized Lynn's gun from his car, leading to a struggle for control of the weapon that resulted in Carol Clay being shot dead. As the confrontation intensified, Lynn allegedly stabbed Russell Hill to death, leaving behind a hotel room with numerous bloodstains as grim evidence of the violent encounter. Despite efforts to clean the scene, traces of blood remained on the footmat. The revelation of these disturbing details marked a significant development in the investigation, providing authorities with a clearer understanding of the events leading to the disappearance of Russell Hill and Carol Clay. However, the remains of the missing couple remained elusive, leaving unanswered questions lingering in the minds of their loved ones and the wider community.